we go. All right. Hey, welcome, guys. Um, it's like a very first time for me to do a presentation, a revolution talk, sitting down. So it's a little bit weird for me, but I'm going to explain you everything into detail about what I do and how I did it and how I came to this specific moment. So my name is Timon Dijkstra. And like Claudinho already mentioned, I'm responsible for the volunteer program. But first, I will share my screen with you so you can see my lecture. There we go. So, but first, let's take you on a trip back to memory lane. Like 3.5 years ago, Digital 2017 was my first edition. Back then, I was still an intern, and it was the first time I did the coordination of 200 volunteers, which were students of the BUAS. I really liked to do it. It was a big challenge, but in the end, it turned out as a huge success. At that specific period of time, that was the only event that has a really high focus on sustainability. Over the years, the relevance of organizing a sustainability festival grew, and also the need for a volunteer program. So currently, we are collaborating with over 20 events per year. But what are my main values? I want to offer something to the students, to the volunteers who want to support our Revolution program. The first value is obviously sustainability. But second, it's also educational, so they need to learn something from it. And obviously, because we organize festivals, it's also really important to have a great party and let them enjoy doing their shift. And also afterwards, enjoy the party themselves as well. So this also includes basically my mission, because I need to satisfy and connect all different stakeholders. Which stakeholders that are will be explained within the next few slides. So starting with the event organizers. So these were the festivals, we collaborated with and are going to collaborate with in the future. It's really interesting because from the perspective of an event organizer, they mainly want to increase their sustainability in order to become circular in the end. However, as you can imagine, since you already heard a lot of different talks, it also requires a lot of financial investments, but also a lot of extra manpower in order to execute these projects. So therefore, for them, it's relevant to work with volunteers to compensate costs, but also to let their projects support it. However, this should not be negatively influencing the experience of the Revolution legends, because we call them legends, because I don't really like the term volunteer that much, because I think that's more of a term when you do a shift in your local football club and you don't really like it and it's mandatory. We call them legends because they learn something, they can party, and also yeah, they can increase their network. So educational institutes is the second stakeholder I am connecting, but also I need to make them satisfied. So basically what I do is planning meetings with the different contact persons within these educational institutes to see what their demand is. So what kind of practical experience they want to offer to their students and what kind of practical experience these students want. So from there, we create like a plan in order to adjust to this demand. Third, the students, the legends, themselves. Because it might be that the educational institute thinks like, yeah, they need to learn this and they want to do that. But sometimes it's not the case. So I also really try to be connecting with them in a really formal way, informal way, So we all get along. They're all like-minded people. They try to work hard and also have a great party afterwards. So these three stakeholders are of main importance to satisfy them and to connect them as well. But aligning all these stakeholders, these values, and these missions, it's important to focus on the 6 themes within our circularity program. So I support 3 of them, starting with the food. Well, Mitchell already explained everything about circular food court. However, we also offer shifts to our legends to help at it. So basically, we have a central point where the visitors can bring their cutlery, plates, so it can be separated in order to create compost out of it. What is main important is that they are the face and the story behind our sustainability program. So they translate the background of what goes behind it. Also, they have to make sure everything is tight and clean, bring a pleasant ambience, and enjoy their shift to the fullest altogether. They will all receive a Revolution T-shirt, which you see on the picture. I'm also wearing one at the moment. Second is the theme of plastics. So how we focus on that is most of the events work with a deposit system. So basically, they receive a recycle token at the entrance, so they don't have to pay for their first cup. However, if they lose it, they do have to pay a deposit for the second cup. So we have a recycle token legend helping at the entrance to hand out these tokens to the visitors. Well, this is a really a shift people mostly like because it's at the beginning of the festival, they can interact with the people, and once they finish around 5, they have like a lot of time left to enjoy the festival themselves. But if you are at a event and you have an empty cup, but you don't necessarily want to go to the bar because there's a line, yeah, what can you do? You know, like if you want to see your favorite artist, but you don't want to hold your cup. So we came up with a solution to offer a cup and coin legend chip. Basically, this is a team of 2 legends walking around the area and are located to one specific area. And the visitors can go to these cup and coin legends in order to exchange their cup for a recycled token. Third is our resource efficiency, and this is the Revolution Vanguard. The Revolution Vanguard is, in my opinion, the most important shift for our circularity problem because they prevent that we have trash at our festivals because we only have resources. Also, of the talk of Leonie Boon about the resource plan. If you're interested, you can also look it back if you haven't seen it yet. It's also really interesting. So what we do, basically everything which is in our festival is with a deposit, or like the cups or the bottles, but also at the food court, they bring it back in order to compost it. So the only things which can still be thrown away is what the visitors bring from outside of the festival. So the Revolution Vanguard is responsible for picking up everything that doesn't come through the security check. For example, deodorant, some food, or whatever, and that will be recycled, separated in our recycle stations, and from here it will get a new purpose. So, for example, the deodorant goes to a foundation, or the food which is intercepted goes to homeless people. Also, yeah, here you see that it's separated. Also, over here, the bottles and cups can be exchanged for a recycled token. And once again, they are the face and the story behind our sustainability. Like the previous years, the main focus was on collecting the litter which is on the floor around the area. Because back then, the system was not really well known among the visitors. But nowadays, every year, every event, people start learning that they should bring back their stuff to the circular food court and to the bar. But now we also don't have trash cans. So it is from main importance that the visitors are aware of the fact if they have something in their pocket they want to throw away, they don't throw it away, but bring it to a resource station. So, for example, packets of cigarettes, packets of chewing gum, or whatever they bring from outside of the event. And they should really focus on creating a pleasant ambience and explain this story. Next to that, we also have the social responsibility team, because one of the problems still at an event is cigarette butts. People throwing the cigarette butts on the floor or smoking inside a tent, which is due to legislations prohibited. But also for people who don't smoke or, for example, have asthma, it can also really negatively influence their vibe and their experience at the event. Therefore, we have the social responsibility team, because they can answer questions about where is the first aid, where is the toilet, what's the lineup, because they have like a frequently question to answer all questions that the visitors have. Next to that, they make sure the people are not smoking inside of tents. If they do, the cigarette has to go in the cone, as you can see in the picture. And in return, as an incentive, they receive a pocket ashtray where the visitors can put their cigarette butts in and in the end bring it to our recycle station. But from the volunteer perspective, from the legends, this is also a shift which is really enjoyable, because you can just dance, you can party, you can go in the area and interact with people. So most of these things are mainly really nice if you enjoy it to the fullest and also go in the vibe of the festival. So next to the shifts that are directly connected within our sustainability program, we also have shifts which are not directly connected to it, but are definitely a learningful experience. For example, helping at the entrance. Because at the entrance, for example, scanning tickets is not necessarily something you learn a lot from. However, everyone who, for example, studies event management sometimes has to organize an event, and it doesn't matter which event it is, even though it's an art gallery or a business-to-business event or a big time festival of 40,000 visitors, they all have an entrance. So if you look how the ticketing works, how the security works, how what happens if something doesn't work with a ticket, that's something you can really learn from practice by doing a shift like this. While also selling the merchandise or creative activity legend. For example, putting sunscreen on people or handing out headphones at the silent disco. They're all funny shifts you can contribute to the creativity side program of a festival. Or the more creative shifts, like you can do an Insta takeover if you are motivated and you want to take a lot of good pictures. You can be a portfolio photographer. So there are multiple options to choose from. And also we are really open for own initiatives. So if people have a good idea and pitch it with us, we're really open for them to execute it if they want to. So what is our sign up procedure? We have multiple channels. For example, I give guest lectures at educational institutes to tell everything about our sustainability plan, volunteer program. Next to this, we have like the social channels like Facebook and Instagram. We have a really big database of more than 4,000 people who previously helped at our events. So we also send out MailChimps to them. And we have a website. We just updated it at the beginning of the year, including details about all the different events, but also an explanation of the shifts, what it means for you to do a specific shift. From there, they can sign up at our planning tool. They can select a event, shift, time frame, but also reward. And what I think is most important is that it's never really mandatory for one of the students to choose for a specific shift or event. They can pick it themselves um, according to their what they prefer, so to say. Well, after signing up, we are giving them all the info they need. We communicate everything because we send out an info sheet, a task description. In the info sheet, we have all the information, all the practical information, like, okay, where do you need to go? What clothes do you have to wear? Can you come by car? So that everything is clear prior to the festival. However, once they arrive, they can check in at our accreditation desk, and we have a management team, also of volunteers who coordinate everything, who are going to guide and assist these different shifts. So they check in, they get their materials, a runner will pick them up, bring them to the designated area, they get a briefing and do their shift. Afterwards, we also really want to be like the first step for these people to work towards their future career. So the aftercare is important. So we will send out a survey and ask, for example, you up at the entrance, did you like it? What didn't you like it? But if you really like it and you want to do like a paid shift at the entrance, you can also state it, and we will connect you with professional organizations which can offer you like a side job, or maybe like you can grow into the role of entrance manager. So that's really important also for us to be like the first step within the event industry. Also, for example, when finding an internship. When you walk around the festival, you can talk with all the people from the organization. And if you really show your own initiatives, they will remember you. And if you send out application form, fill in the application form for an internship, you really have like a plus if you volunteered before. Because it's quite funny, because I'm doing this like 3.5 years now. And I really see the development of the people who volunteered like a few years ago, that they are doing their internship now with the commissioners at the different events we collaborate with. So now I also start collaborating with the people who started a few years ago below the ladder within Revolution, and also professional. So that's also really good to see that the most motivated people really go into the professional careers. Well, that already comes to the end of my presentation, of my Revolution talk. I really hope you liked it, and I think we have we have around 50 minutes left. So I just explained really briefly like the broad outline of what we do with this volunteer program. If anything wasn't clear, or you have any specific questions or some personal questions, please ask it in the chat, and Claudinho, as the moderator, will ask it and I will give the answers.
Thank you, Timon. I'm curious, what do you enjoy the most about your job?
Every day is different. It's really something I built. I built something, like I can put my creativity in it. I can make my own decisions. Obviously, we do it all together. I have to discuss some things with Xander or with the higher management. But basically, as long as everything goes smoothly, for example, this session, like a few weeks ago, we came up with this idea to make this as an alternative for the tangible digital festival not going through. And we made some efforts and we made some connections. We brought stakeholders together, also the students, the different speakers. Um, so to come back to your question, really like that I can be creative, I can build something, and by working hard, I can really prove myself and reach something.
Thank you. And what kind of volunteers do you prefer to have within the volunteer team personally? Because as you can imagine, the the reasons for signing up can vary. So people are more sustainability minded, or they're more interested on an educational level or
Yeah.
maybe to party?
Yeah.
What do you prefer if you could combine?
Well, in my opinion, there are like three categories of volunteers, like their intrinsic motivation in order to sign up. Like indeed, to support our sustainability program, to obtain practical experience, and or to get a free ticket. Which one I prefer? Basically, the ones who want to obtain practical experience, because I can relate to them because I also really like to work in events, and they have like the mentality of working hard, partying hard, and yeah, that's where I can relate to and what I really like. However, um, there's nothing wrong with just sign up for a shift because you don't want to spend 50 euros on a ticket. That's actually how I started 5 years ago as well. I didn't even knew I liked event management. I just liked to party and I liked to work with people. And I found out by volunteering actually. Um, and then the people who do it mainly for the sustainability, it's also really nice to see because if they do the Revolution Vanguard, they're so motivated to collect everything and that they really make a change within the event industry and work towards sustainability. So I cannot really pick one specific type of volunteer, but I really like if they are passionate about something.
Thank you. That's a clear answer, of course. And you mentioned motivation. There are two things I'm wondering, like
Yeah.
how do you motivate people in case they're not really, for example, not really
Mhm.
motivated during show
Yeah.
because of expectations, maybe? Yeah, let's do that one first.
Um, well, if people are not really motivated, I mainly start hesitating about myself because I think then I did something wrong. Because if they're not motivated, why would they sign up? So then I'm first going to look at what could be influencing their not being motivated. And if I can find out what this situation is, then I try to solve it. But to be honest, if they are not motivated and there's like a reason which is, in my opinion, um, not really something to be not motivated, also don't really need to put a lot of effort in it in order to motivate him. So that's basically the answer.
Thank you. I'm also wondering, how do you make sure that the volunteers communicate the sustainability story, like what we want to express to the broader audience?
Um, we integrated within all our recruitment channels, basically. And also, while they start at the event, we explain the story of our sustainability program in detail. Um, yeah, so basically prior to the event, social channels, and during the event, during the briefing.
I have one final question which was forwarded to me. Then I
Okay.
will take a look at the chat.
Yeah.
What do you see if you are talking about the future for the volunteer program?
Yeah.
What do you see? Like a year from now, maybe two?
That's a good question. Well, if you would ask me 2 months ago, I could give you like a really optimistic answer, and I'm still really optimistic. But yeah, as we all know, like event sector is changing. It even though if events still are going to happen, it will never be the same as it was before. And I think that's also for volunteering the case. So I'm also looking all into different articles and different way of people's mindset, how they will be after Corona. Because are going to party and hug someone they don't know who is sweating without being scared. And the same goes for doing a shift. You meet people, you're together. I think like togetherness it will be less. Um, but to come back to your question, my main drive and motivation would be collaborating with most electronic dance music festivals in the Netherlands. not only dance festivals, but also urban and yeah, all events which are popular among the young students.
That gives me a good bridge to one question from the chat.
Okay.
Do you aspire to work together with certain brands or people in the future?
Yes, with people is like in broad sense, but what I would really like to is involve a YouTuber, for example, who creates like a format which is connected to sustainability and doing volunteer management. Because I really like the new generation of YouTube and um, make it interactive. So like person-wise, I would like to work with the content creators, with YouTube creative people. With brands, yeah, it's hard to say. Obviously, we all have the Revolution t-shirts. Um, I would like to work to collaborate with like a sustainable brand for it and to make it like a little bit more fashionable. That it's not only like a black shirt with a logo, but it's like something you would wear while going clubbing with proud as well. Like I'm wearing a Revolution X, I don't know, like an awesome brand who also produces their clothes out of recycled material or yeah, like they buy secondhand clothes and pimp it or something like this would be great. And with other brands, yeah, I cannot come up with anything apart from it.
Thank you. I hope that answer
Mhm.
is good for the person that asked it.
Well, maybe with Tesla that they can bring all the volunteers to their ship, but
There we go. There we go. We got a
a
brand, ladies and
Tesla
gentlemen.
bus. We create like a Tesla bus of 200 people can fit in, and that's our transport for the people coming from outside of the city.
Well, speaking of transportation, somebody is asking, what is the biggest challenge from your perspective that we are facing in the near future apart from the coronavirus?
I was still sharing my screen. I will just stop it so it's there's to see me. All right. Hey, Miguel.
No. Did you
No, sorry. What did you say?
It's all right. So somebody's asking, from your perspective,
Yeah.
what do you see as the biggest challenge that we are facing apart from the pandemic?
The biggest challenge we're facing apart from the pandemic. Okay, that's like a quite good question. Um, I don't like to think in terms of challenges because so it's a little bit difficult questions for me. I mainly like to think in opportunity. And if there is a challenge, for example, this pandemic, we can turn it around into something positive, which yeah will turn out in events organizing like this. Um, but a challenge would be well, our main challenge for a revolution in general is to create a circular blueprint and also change the way and structures within event organizers to follow our example and to make them not be scared of changes. For example, when they first introduced the hard cup, they were like, yeah, but then we need to change the bar and we need to wash them and it's so difficult. Why would we do it? It will cost a lot of money. But now, you know, like after a few years, people get used to it and it starts to get the new normal. So I think that's also a real challenge to change the way people think and act in order to become more sustainable.
Okay, and is there anything before we, obviously we are almost
We're
there.
3 minutes and 19 seconds.
Yes, is there anything you would like to share before we have to wrap this up?
Not really. I think I already explained everything more or less. Isn't there like a last question? I would like to have another question.
Okay, let's do one more.
Yeah.
Regarding the volunteerships?
Yeah.
Is there any shift that you are currently planning on that you want to implement next year that is maybe not there yet, or
Yeah.
you want to change a certain shift? Anything top of mind?
Well, a shift could be, for example, at the sanitation workshop, but you can also see online and was the previous session. Create a shift in order to support these different projects, to explain what the sanitation system entails, and yeah, also trigger people to yeah, to use the right toilet or whatsoever. But another thing I would like to add before we going towards the last minute. So all the people who were participating within the session, I really hope you guys liked it and thought it was interesting. Yeah, keep in mind this is also the very first time we did a Revolution Talks. I'm really happy with the sessions until now. However, if you have any feedbacks or we are probably going to do this more frequently these days. If you have any recommendations or you would like to have another speaker within the sessions, please let us know as well. And for the people who want to go a little bit more deeper into knowing what to do at Revolution of the volunteer program, we also have a workshop planned tomorrow. This workshop is about becoming a supervisor for Revolution. So from here, me and Claudia will explain all the different steps we go through before executing a volunteer program or one of our festivals. Next to that, we explain all the managerial roles within our management team. And from there, we will give you challenges, cases you can work out in specific project groups. And from there, you come back and pitch these cases. We're going to do this in a Zoom session. If you're interested, we have a few spots left and you can sign up via our platform. If you're interested in it, you can also send us an email to get all the information you need. Well, that's it for now. Once again, thank you for everything and thank you for the attention. I hope you are going to enjoy the rest of your weekend and tune in at Digital this weekend. And see you at the dance floor real soon, hopefully.